Hello. How are you? I'm just going to make sure that I'm live and then we will get started. If you are here for the live, go ahead and say hey. Let me know that you're here. And how are you guys doing today? It's almost the weekend. Just going to make sure that I am live in the places that I need to be live. I don't see it, so give me just a minute. Actually, let me see. I have a tablet over here and have my tablet and have my phone. Sorry guys, give me just a second. I want to make sure I'm live before I go into all of this. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be really good. This is going to be like more of a beginner's live or a beginner's class. Let's see. I see it, but But yeah, this is going to be more of it's an introduction to acrylic jewelry. So I'm just going to go over like the super basics. I do want to touch on a lot of the questions that were asked, and I know that some of you are going to be watching this on the replay, and I'm sorry. I wish that we all, could watch it live, but this is pretty much my prime time to work and to go live. I am not available usually on the weekends, and I'm not available in the afternoon because I have kids. So it's really hard for me to do lives outside of my normal like working business hours. So well, darn. I know it's here somewhere. I see that we have some people watching, so I know that I'm live, but I want to make sure that I see all the comments. That's why I'm trying to pull it up over here. So I'm going to look on my phone because from what I see, I don't see any comments here, and because I'm going live from StreamYard. All right, so I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. Hi. Oh, okay. I see one comment. Hi, Tiffy. I'm so glad you're here. I really am. Glad you could make it to the live. All right, let's see. I'll get there, guys. I'm so sorry. This is not exactly how I wanted it to begin. All right, so I see it on my phone. I'm wondering why I don't see it on my tablet, which is where I would prefer to see it, but it's not there. Okay. All right, well, I'll just have to keep checking my phone. Make sure, let's see. Turn that off. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Shay. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm seeing some comments. That's unfortunate that I can't see it on my tablet, but okay. We'll make it work. I'll just set this up here on the side. Hopefully I don't knock it over. All right, cool. So, welcome to the introduction to acrylic jewelry. Let's see, where do I start? I have notes. I wrote down and prepared some notes. I always try and do that. Trying to rearrange my desk here so I have everything fit. Let's see. All right, so if you are watching live and you have comments, you have questions, go ahead and ask me your questions as we go through the video, and I will do my best to keep up and look over to answer your questions. So the first one, the main thing the main thing about acrylic jewelry that I think if you're a beginner and you're just starting out, the main thing to know about acrylic jewelry is just the material, acrylic. And I know a lot of you started out with wood. A lot of us in the laser world started out with wood. Some of us didn't. Maybe you started with acrylic, but a lot of us did. A lot of us started with wood. It's easier to get because we have Home Depot, we have Lowe's, we have other local lumber yards and stuff like that. So the difference between acrylic and wood when it comes to jewelry is with wood, whenever you create a design or you cut out your pieces, you can paint that wood. You can paint the entire surface, front, back, everything. And that's what most people do. With acrylic, we don't necessarily paint our acrylic. We paint the engraving. So if we want to paint something on acrylic, we would first engrave it and then we would paint the engraving. And the reason why is because with acrylic, it's the cool thing about acrylic is the color. It's colored plastic. That's number one. And it would be harder for different paints to stick. Teresa, thank you for that. But I don't even see the video on my tablet at all. Like, I'm in the group looking, but I don't even see it at all. So, but I see it on my phone. So I guess that's, that's good. We'll go with that. Oh, here it is. Okay, cool. I do see it. And now, all right. I do kind of see it there. All right, but I've got it over here. I've got it over there. I've got it everywhere. Okay. Yeah, so the cool thing about acrylic jewelry is that it is colored plastic. So you're not going to just cut one layer typically. I mean, you can. We do have, like, if you can see this without the glare of my window, it's glitter. So you have like different textures and different, you have glitter and iridescent and mirrored and all this different really cool stuff. And so I did not paint the glitter. That's actually a separate piece of acrylic. And there's the back. And so what we do is for each color that we want to use, we will cut it out of a different color of acrylic. And then we will just glue it all together like a little puzzle on one solid piece on the back, which we call a backer. Mine is clear. I like it that way because when earrings are, twisting and turning around, to me, it's just not noticeable. It kind of looks like the front a little bit. But white is okay. Black is good. Or if you can actually match your backer to the front, that would be pretty cool too. But we use 1/16 inch on the back, which is thinner than the front layers. But I will touch on that again in a little bit farther in the video. Thank you. These earrings, Teresa, are my love potions. I made 2 versions. This one is more Halloween spooky vibes. And you can see that they're poison. Sorry about the glare of this window. But I actually have little tags. Oh my God. they're adorable to me. I love, love, love designing the earrings and putting them together. So we got the poison, and then we got the love potions. So both versions of that is included in the file for the potion bottles. Okay, but that is an example of layers. Maybe you can even see. Okay. More of a single layer design. Let me find something. Well, I'll show you this one. Ignore my engraving on this because it's not great. I mean, the paint fill. But on this one, this is a single layer. And I just wanted to make the markings for this wolf. So what you do is you engrave the markings, and then you will paint fill them, which means you just paint the part that you engraved. And to do that, the best way is to make sure that your acrylic is masked. So we had some questions about masking acrylic. And I did want to go over when and how you mask. So when would you mask your acrylic? Okay. You would mask your acrylic usually if it isn't masked already. Most acrylics come masked. And what masking is, it's just a thin sheet of either plastic or some kind of paper material that is, a protective layer covering your acrylic when you get it. Let me grab an example real quick. I was not prepared for that, but okay. This acrylic is paper masked, and it came like this from the manufacturer. I think this one was from Houston Acrylic. But it came like this. That's the paper masking here. All right. So if I wanted to engrave this, all I would do, I would do nothing like to prepare it. I would put it in my laser and I would just engrave it. It just engrave just like this. And what it's going to do is it's going to basically burn off part of the masking and the acrylic and engrave it in. And so, but we're still going to have, like, when everything is cut out, you're still going to have the masking on the piece. And I don't think I have any pieces to show you. I think I put everything together already. I was considering if I should put some stuff aside to show you, but I was really trying to finish everything. Okay, so I don't have anything to show you as far as that, but whenever you cut it out, you're still going to have the masking on both sides of the earring. And so that gives you the opportunity to go ahead and put some paint in that engraving. You can use just regular acrylic paint, like the little bottles that you get from the craft store or Walmart or something like that. That's fine. Get you a little paintbrush. I have this one. It's well worn. It used to be a filbert tip. But anything, any small paintbrush will work. You could use a Q-tip. Depending on your design, your engraving design, you could actually just use your finger, wipe it on, use a paper towel, whatever works. There's really no specific thing that you need for that. To paint fill. So you will paint the engraving, and then when the when the paint is dry, completely dry, then you can remove the masking. And it should be great underneath. If there is any bleeding from the paint underneath, you can use a baby wipe, you can use a wet paper towel, some wet cloth, or alcohol on a paper towel, wet cloth, or alcohol wipes. Hey, Jessica. So what design software do you use? I use Illustrator. I use Adobe Illustrator, and I have it on my computer. And I also have the Illustrator for iPad app So I use the Illustrator for iPad app when I want to draw something or I really need to get something like specific details that I just can't do with shapes in Adobe Illustrator for the desktop. So that's what I use. To do, you're trying to figure out how to do reverse engraves. Okay. What Tiffy, what kind of laser do you have? Do you have like a laser like a Glowforge that uses their own software, or do you use um, Lightburn? Because I believe Lightburn may have the option to inverse. But that's what you would need to do on whatever software that you're using. You would need um, to inverse the design Glowforge. I'm so sorry. I really don't know anything about Glowforge. I've never had a Glowforge. When I jumped into the laser world, I jumped in with this big laser. I have an Ohmtech. It's a 60 watt, and it's just a giant, giant machine. Okay, Silhouette Business Edition. I'm not like completely fluent with Business Edition, but I will definitely look into that for you and I'll see. But basically, it's like this. When you want to design, I use red for cut. So if you buy any of my files, any Maker's Fantasy files, the color code is red for cut, black for engrave, and blue for score. And usually I only use the score, the blue lines, if I am offering the version for wood. Because scoring on the wood so that you can then paint it comes in handy, and it's faster than engraving. But for the acrylic, it's going to be engraved. So usually for acrylic, it'll only be red or black. But if you want to do a reverse engrave, what you're going to have to do basically is make sure that whatever your design is, you have the outline, and that's going to be, you need that for a cut line. So you need the outline to be just a silhouette of whatever shape it is you have to cut. All right, so that's going to be, in my case, red. And then whatever you want that shape, let's say you have a teardrop shape. Okay, you got a teardrop. So you have your teardrop outline. Then you're going to make another copy of that. You're going to have a duplicate of that exact shape, whatever it is, and then you're going to make it all black, okay, because you want it to be engraved. And then whatever you don't want to be engraved, you're going to make, which is the design, in some other color, and a shape. Let's for now just make it like a white or purple or pink or whatever color. And you're basically just going to cut out that shape from the black teardrop that you made. So I know that in Illustrator, I believe it's the minus front. In I think it's the Pathfinder panel. So you would just basically like a cookie cutter, just kind of very simply put, you would cut out that shape from the black part. And so then you have your red outline, so it cuts out the teardrop. And then you have the black part that's going to engrave all of the teardrop except the pieces that are missing, if that makes sense. So that's kind of in a nutshell how that would work. But yeah, so anyway, masking. The other thing that I did want to touch on about masking is that if your acrylic does not come masked, or if you have mirrored acrylic, or some other acrylic that has the plastic masking on it, you probably want to remove that. I don't remove the plastic masking if I'm just cutting the acrylic for something, but if I want to engrave the acrylic for anything, then it's always it is a good idea, excuse me, to remove the plastic masking and then apply your own paper masking. And this is mine, and it is exactly the same width as the sheets of the Glowforge size acrylic. And so what you would do is you would just start at one end, like say this was not masked, you would start at one end whichever end works for you, and you would pull up some of this acrylic and you would just stick it to the edge, line it up, and then peel it about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way. And you're just going to work down slowly, slowly, because what you're going to do is, and of course you would do this on a flat surface table or something, you would get something like this, or a credit card, a ruler, a book, whatever works. Something like a flat card that you can, as you roll or pull the paper masking down the sheet of acrylic, you can push out and push out all the bubbles and flatten the masking, because you don't want any bubbles in there. Now, if you have put your masking down, everything's great, but you have one small bubble that you just cannot push to the edge to get rid of it, go ahead and take a little tiny pin, like a thumbtack or a sewing needle or something like that. Take a pin and pop the bubble, and then go over it with this to get the air out so that it is completely flat on that acrylic. That'll work if you have a stubborn bubble that you can't get rid of. I feel like my nose ring is coming out. Okay. All right, so that is masking. Anybody have questions about masking before you engrave? All right, so if you're going to cut acrylic, honestly, you don't really need any masking. You don't have to worry about it. If your acrylic comes with masking, leave it on. It's just better that way. Okay. And then I did go over the paint fill. Oh, you can also use paint pens. I didn't say that, but paint pens, Posca is a very popular brand. Amazon has a ton of different paint pen options. You can even use spray paint if your acrylic is masked, but I would not mess with spray paint. What side do we mask on mirrored acrylic? Okay, so on the back of mirrored acrylic, it's just that gray backing. So it depends. Mirrored acrylic, you can actually engrave on either side depending on the look that you're going for. So let's see. I don't know how to explain it. Excuse me. Depending on the look that you're going for, you may want to engrave it on the front or the back. Most commonly, people engrave the back of mirrored acrylic. And it depends on if you want to fill the engraving with paint after you engrave it. So if you want to engrave mirrored acrylic and fill it with paint so that it has more contrast and stands out a little bit better, like maybe you have like a gold mirrored acrylic and you want to put a design on there and you want to fill it with black paint so that it stands out a little more, then go ahead and mask the back. If you want to engrave, whatever side you want to engrave and paint fill, basically. But to be quite honest, you don't need to mask it at all unless you want to paint fill it. So I have issues with paint running on matte acrylic. Is the answer to seal it first before painting? I don't have any problems with the paint running. The only time that I have issues with painting in the engravings is when I tried to engrave and paint fill with the plastic masking still on. I had issues there, so I don't do that anymore. And then the other time is if my masking isn't stuck all the way, basically. But matte acrylic is kind of finicky because it's harder to clean. But Um, they do say, I have no experience with this myself, but they do say that if you spray it first, that it will help with that. But again, I have no experience on that. But with the matte acrylic, I know it's very, very difficult to clean off stray paint on matte acrylic. But if you use alcohol and you really scrub, um, it is possible. I've done it. You can get it off. It just really sucks, and I don't recommend it. Um, The masking doesn't stop paint running. I'm not sure. Maybe you should switch masking. Are you, Ariana, are you talking about um, the masking that you apply yourself? Because if you are talking about something that you applied yourself, then maybe it's the masking. Maybe you should switch to something else. I haven't had that issue, so I'm not really sure. If it is the masking that comes with the acrylic, it shouldn't do that. Yeah, okay, so I'm not sure, Ariana, it really shouldn't do that. Um, I don't think you're bad at it. um, there are so many things. That's another point that I wanted to touch on. There's so many different um, problems that can arise in the laser world that is really just it all boils down to um, proper operation of your laser, basically. Um, because lasers, once you set them up and everything's running smoothly and great, maybe one day you come in to work and then something's not right. It's not working right. It didn't do this yesterday, and you didn't do anything differently. And you're not sure what it is. And so it could be like so many different things. Maybe you need to clean your mirrors and your lens. Maybe one of your mirrors has become loose, and you need to tighten it, or um, maybe your alignment is off. Maybe your alignment has gotten off somehow, or there could be so many different things. Also, keeping your laser beam in focus, that's a huge thing. Um, I'm not sure. But if that was me, if I had that problem, what I would do is once I engrave everything, once I engrave my stuff and I want to paint fill it, I would just push the paper down with my finger just to make sure that the paper hasn't lifted somehow, that isn't necessarily visible, it isn't obvious. So just push it down and make sure that it is completely stuck to that acrylic. And then you can try that. Or maybe uh, if you're using, paint pens, I know that this could happen. If you're using paint pens to paint the engraving on acrylic, if you're, painting it with the paint pens like a crayon, you're just coloring it in. You could, with the marker itself, pull up the acrylic, and then you're, smearing it um, smearing the paint underneath. Hey, Jessica. The plastic razor is great to rub it down with. Yeah, I wanted to get one of those. There's so many things I want. There's just I try to restrain myself, because I want everything. We all do, right? Um, okay, so yeah, just be careful. I don't know if that's what's happening with yours, but that's just one thing I would suggest. And I have noticed with mine, when I first started, if I'm just coloring with my paint marker, the tip, of the marker can like pull up the masking a little bit, and then I'm painting on an area that I didn't want to. That could happen. So with the paint markers, I would like dab. That's my suggestion with the paint markers. Use whatever method has been working for you, if you don't have that issue. But I personally, I try and be extra careful. And when the engraving is not that big, I just try and dab, just to prevent anything. Okay, I need a sip of coffee. Hold on. You're welcome. Okay. So, if you're just working with okay, so this is a tip or just some information for people who have not started working with acrylic, or maybe you have, but has anybody heard the the issue that some people have had where with acrylic they get fires or they get flames? Has anybody heard that? I'm pretty sure most of us have heard that. I've heard that so many times. And it's really scared people that usually just work with wood, kind of scares them off from working with acrylic. And they're really, don't be afraid. That's what I want to say. Don't be afraid. Teresa, you've heard that? Yeah, for sure. I have. But let's see. Here it is. I wrote it down. Don't be afraid from using acrylic. To me, and this is all personal preference, but to me, acrylic is like the best thing ever. I don't want to work with wood unless I'm doing maybe a bigger project or a project that I really want to paint something. It's a little bug. But some of the common causes of flames or fire when people work with acrylic, and this is really with any material, okay? Any material can do this. But some of the common reasons that that might happen, oh my gosh, this little, like, is it a little fly? Go away. Your laser is not properly in focus for your material. Your speed could be too slow, the power could be too high, or your masking is not on properly. So let's touch on material thickness, okay? And this will tie into this. Material thickness, most people work with 1/8 inch acrylic. Most people. There is the most common thicknesses are 1/16 inch, 1/8 inch, and a 1/4 inch. A 1/4 inch is very thick and it's not recommended. I mean, it's not very thick, but it's too thick for jewelry. It is not recommended for jewelry. We usually use 1/8 inch. And if we're doing layered acrylic earrings like the ones that I showed you earlier, where it has a flat back piece and we're cutting out multiple pieces of acrylic to glue onto the backer is 1/16 inch. So when I'm switching my material, if I'm going to cut backers and I am cutting with 1/16 inch acrylic and I cut everything, my laser's focused, you know, for the 1/16 inch. And then I get all my backers cut, and then now it's time for me to start cutting, you know, my top layers or my pieces in color. And if I'm going quickly or if I'm distracted or if I just forget to refocus my laser, the laser beam, excuse me, is going to, it's not going to be cutting properly. It's probably going to cut or try to cut a much thicker line, and it's probably just going to like burn and melt more than actually like really cut through, because the laser beam, I'll draw a little diagram. Don't laugh. That was horrible. Let me try again. So the laser beam is focused, meaning it's tiny. The laser beam is wider up high and then down below. So it does get to a teeny tiny little, I don't know, little pinprick, if you will. And that is where you want to cut. That is the focus point of that laser. And so I'm gonna try again with this. Okay. Of course, the laser is not that wide. This is just a very silly example for you so that you can see. So if the bed or the material is raised up here, the laser beam is going to be much wider and you're not going to get a good cut. If the bed and the material is too low down here, same thing. You're not going to get that really super focused laser beam that you need to cut your material. This is the sweet spot, and this is what in focus means right there. So you have to make sure that you have your material in that small little area where the laser is going to be completely focused. And that level is going to depend on what lens you have. To be honest with you, I don't even know what lens I have. It's whatever the stock lens that came with my machine. But so you probably don't know either if you haven't changed it, but some people do change it for various different things. I haven't changed mine. So, but there's a little tool. Hold on, let me show you mine. If you have an Omtech laser, Omtech, then you have a set of keys like this probably, and you have this little piece of acrylic, this little like brown acrylic. And this right here is how focused it needs to be. So the height from the laser head to my material. And I suggest you do a ramp test and if you don't know what that is, you'll have to Google that one. That's for another video. But to do a ramp test to see where the focal point is and how far that is from your laser head. And I'm sure it varies with different lasers, different machines. But make sure that your laser is in focus, basically. So another thing with the fires, if your laser is not aligned properly, that can also cause some weird things happening. You'll get double lines or something sometimes. So that could be, it could contribute to that. Now, if your speed is too slow, then basically the laser beam, it's burning through the material. Plain and simple, it's just burning through something. Like a magnifying glass. If you have ever used a magnifying glass as a kid and kind of tilted it at a certain angle outside and the sun rays, went through the magnifying glass, and if you tilt it at a certain angle, you can get a little, tiny pinpoint of light on the ground or whatever. It's like that. So if you're going too slow, then you have more chance of fire. You have a more chance of a flame because the laser is just sitting there burning. It's not actually like going, And again, your power could be too high. If your power is, higher than you need to cut the acrylic, then that could cause it too, because you're just putting way too much, force, way too much heat. Teresa. Okay, I'll get to that one. Curve. And then not having your masking on properly. What I mean by that is, if you may have an air bubble, or if you're engraving and it's not on all the way, you didn't scrape it down flat and get all the air out, and you're engraving or even cutting. And a piece of that paper masking, flips up, and then your laser is coming through. It's a potential fire hazard. But I will say this, I've absolutely never had any kind of flame or fire with using acrylic. Never. And I've had, I've made mistakes. My laser has been out of alignment. My laser has been out of focus. There has been times when my masking was flapping around all over the place. It was not down. And speed too high and too slow. I've made all of the mistakes that I've covered, and I've never had flame with my acrylic. I just haven't. So I have had flame, not a full fire, but a little flame when I used the whiteboard. And the problem was that my laser was not in focus for that whiteboard thickness. So, so I got a fire, or not fire, but a flame with that one. Okay, so I have had a lot of people asking about kerf. For beginners, don't come for me, but I feel that for beginners, kerf is completely irrelevant. You don't really need to worry about it. To begin, to get started, to get your feet wet, to learn. Now, the only reason I don't bother with kerf when it comes to my earrings or my files. And the reason why is because when your laser is completely aligned and everything it's aligned and it's focused properly, you should not have much issue. Now, okay, so kerf is basically the amount of material, of extra material that's burnt when your laser cuts. Because even you'll get kerf with a saw, you'll get kerf, you know, with basically any cutting, because there is a thickness to your laser beam. If your laser tube is a lower power, then your laser beam will be a little skinnier. If your tube, say your laser tube is a 150 watt, you're going to have a thicker laser beam than someone with a 45 watt laser tube. So there's that. So I suppose if you did have like a higher powered laser, you may be more concerned with that, or you may, you know, want to pay attention to that a little more than someone that has a lower watt laser. Now, kerf, I will try and again illustrate for you. Because I'm visual and I know a lot of you guys are too, and I think it would help, even though, you know, this isn't the best artwork, but we'll we'll work with it here. So and okay, now this is super basic. Okay, now the square or the rectangle is the acrylic or whatever material you want to use. The line that I drew through it is where we're going to cut. Okay, that's just where the laser path is going. It's just going to go, the laser beam is going to go zoop, straight down the middle of our material, right? And so all that squiggly line represents what is burnt off in the process of going down, or, you know, cutting. So what that means for, you know, layered earrings and even stands, if you purchase like an earring stand, or if you want to make social media signs or anything like that, where you need to fit acrylic tightly into each other, then kerf would definitely be important. And I'm going to show you an example. I have something on my desk that I have when to test the kerf on my machine. Everyone's machine is different. I don't care if you have, you know, if I have a 60-watt Ohmtech laser and you have a 60-watt Ohmtech laser, and the machine itself is basically identical, because you still have to focus the machine. You still have to align the machine. There's just so many things that it's going to be different. Maybe not much, or maybe not by much, but it will be. So this right here, let's see. This is like a material test. Okay, I have one for the MDF that I use here, and then I have one for just some clear acrylic that I have, because the clear acrylic I was making, what was I making? I was making a stand or something, and I needed that it had a base like this, and I needed the this was the stand, and then I needed my, you know, whatever it was to fit down in there snug enough that I didn't need glue or anything, but it wasn't going to fall out. And so this is really good to find the, you know, the size for any kind of tabs or bases that you're going to use for, like I said, stands, jewelry stands, or signs. Like maybe you do a market, or you have like something at a boutique or a consignment store and you want a cute little sign, that would come in handy. And they have these. I don't remember where I got this one from. I didn't make this one, although I don't mind making one. And it's been actually on my to-do list so that I can give you guys so you can test. But the only thing is I don't make too many stand files, so it hasn't really been high on my priority list. But as you can see, the numbers here. So for mine, the 0.115, that is the width that fits. So if I was making a tab, mine would be 0.115. So that the 1/8 inch, this particular 1/8 inch acrylic would fit into. Now, some acrylic is thicker than others, so don't assume that just because, you know, this particular 1/8 inch acrylic fits, that all 1/8 inch acrylic will fit, because depending on, you know, if you have glitter, or maybe you have mirrored, or maybe just from this particular sheet of clear to the next sheet of clear could vary. Or from one end over here could be thinner and it could be thicker on this end. That has happened. You know, it's just it just comes with the territory, working with acrylic for sure. So also, if you use light burn to cut your stuff, you know, like me, I use light burn. That's what my laser uses. So I design my files in Illustrator, and then when I'm ready to cut, I go ahead and send it over to light burn so that my laser, it tells my laser what to cut. And so if you have light burn actually has a kind of like a automatic kerf for you. You will need to determine what your kerf is. And most of the, let me get my little book here. Hold on one second. I have this written down again, and it will be much easier for me to explain it like this out of my notes than just out of my head. Give me just a minute. Well, It's in here, but I don't want to spend all day searching for it, I suppose. Okay, well, dang. It actually might be in another book. But anyway, so when it comes to designing, okay, when it comes to designing, or if you purchase a file and you want to adjust for kerf, basically you're going to offset the path. I don't know what that looks like for everybody's design program, but just the basics of it, you're going to want to offset the path. So you're going to want to make, say you're making this. Okay, maybe you're making this and you want to make this mirrored acrylic fit snugly to where you really don't even need any glue, or you just want to reduce the like the visible, I don't know, edge, crack, whatever. So it fits snugly. You're going to want to offset that path. Positively offset that path, meaning add a little bit more to it. So you're going to, in basic terms, you're going to make that shape a little bit bigger. Like usually, I think it was a point. Oh my goodness. I don't want to, I have it written down. I don't want to say anything that isn't true. But it's a super, super tiny little hair amount. And so that way it offsets what your laser is going to burn in the cutting process. So I hope that makes sense. And this is something, kerf is definitely something that will be best suited for an Acrylic 101 class. This is just beginners. So that would kind of give you an idea of what kerf is. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Do you have any other questions about that? Okay, yes, it's a 0.01. Yep. So I know for most Glowforge users, it is a 0.01. And I believe for my particular laser, it was too. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for that. So for those of you who are not looking at the comments, Jessica said in Corel, it's called a contour. And she thinks that it's called that in Silhouette also. I'm trying to think. I want to say it's offset, but maybe it is, maybe contour. Okay. But yes, that's good to know. Thank you. I'm going to try and do a better kerf video because I know so many people have questions about this. But whenever it comes to layered acrylic earrings, like I said, for mine, it doesn't make that much difference. It is offset and silhouette. Okay. But for my laser, excuse me, it really does not make enough difference that I need to worry about kerf in my business, in my earrings, in what I am making. Literally the only time that kerf becomes relevant for me personally is, like I said, when I'm trying to make a slot to fit a tab into. That's the only time for me. But I do understand that some people would care about kerf if you're making layered earrings and you want them to be snug, like fit together, the little pieces to fit together tightly. I understand that. I mean, on this, if you can see, like I said, I didn't mess with kerf at all. So I'm gonna try and get it on here so you can see it. But you cannot tell that it doesn't fit. I mean, it does fit, obviously, but you can't tell that I did not adjust for kerf. There's no like gap in between the layers. And so that's why you would be concerned with kerf. If you wanted it to fit so snugly that, you know, you could not see any gap or crack, crease, line, whatever, that it would be less noticeable. But for mine, I don't notice it. The only time that I might notice it is if my laser is out of focus. Um, that has happened. My laser was out of focus. It still cut, so I didn't pay attention to it. I'm working. I'm trying to get stuff done. My laser is done with that piece of acrylic. I pull it out and I go to put the earrings together, and it's kind of loose. So, I'm putting the pieces and it's kind of loose, and I'm like, what in the world? Like, why? And I found out that my laser was out of focus. So it was like burning off more than it should have. The other thing too to remember is that different acrylic materials burn at different rates. Um, there is so much variation in between different acrylics. You have the mirrored acrylic, you have glitter acrylic, you have translucent, you have shimmery, you have opaque. You just have so many different varieties. That's the word I'm looking for. You have so many different varieties of acrylic, and because of that, they do burn at different rates. So my mirrored acrylic that I have, it does not burn like the kerf on it. There's less kerf. Don't ask me why. That's just how it is. I've noticed that with my mirrored acrylic pieces, they fit in much more snugly than, say, my opaque pieces when I'm assembling earrings. Okay. So I'm not going to demonstrate or go over like a full how to assemble video or example. That's not what the point of the video was. I really just wanted to go over like some of this stuff that beginners ask. Beginners have all of these really good questions about, you know, different things, right? To do with acrylic jewelry. One of them was about the glue. All right, so I did a whole glue review video in Melody's Acrylic Obsessed group. So if you are a member there, go check that out. I did the review on the different groups. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by comments. I go over the different glues. I'm sorry. So I did a really good visual. I showed examples of, which glue, of all of the glues that I used and like how they looked when they dried. But for beginners, right, the best glues that I recommend is E6000. It takes like 24 to 48 hours. It'll kind of cure in about 24 hours, so you can work with it or pick it up. But I think it fully cures in 48 hours. And it is this one. This is just a tiny bottle. My package had a bunch of these, but they have bigger bottles. And so this one is great if you're concerned about visibility, like if you want to use a clear backer. Or anything transparent or clear, you can use E6000. It's pretty clear. You're not gonna get invisible glue. I hate to break it to you. There's no such thing as invisible glue. You will see glue, period. You will see it. It may not be that noticeable, it may not be that big of a deal. But yeah, you're gonna see the glue. Usually the most noticeable part of dried glue, if you're using clear acrylics, is around the edge. So maybe like the glue itself is completely clear, but you'll see where the glue stops, the edge of the glue. So there's that. E6000 Gorilla Glue is pretty good. I recommend E6000 um, over Gorilla Glue. There's also Weld On 4. They have Weld On 3. They're very, very similar. You could use either. This one is a little bit more difficult to work with, I suppose. It's not necessarily difficult so much as you just need to practice with it. This one I definitely needed to practice with this one a little more. It's liquid. But I do believe that Weld On has a gel version that is called Weld On 16, if I remember correctly. I've never used it. I do want to try it because it's a gel and it's not like water. But Weld On is great. Weld On is actually like a solvent. It's not a glue. What it does is it basically breaks down the surface of the acrylic and it fuses it to other acrylics. So it breaks down the surface of the acrylics and it just fuses them together. So it's a very, very strong hold for acrylic on acrylic. You're not going to get that great of a hold if you use like a regular clear or opaque or something, and you're trying to glue mirrored acrylic onto it. It'll work, but it's not great. I don't recommend it. It's not that strong of a hold. It could pop off, but the Weld On, they use that to make like super industrial professional stuff. One of the things that I saw that it was for is to make fish tanks, like big fish tanks, because it fuses. It's not going to come apart unless you snap the acrylic, if you break it. But okay. Oh, thank you, Brittany. She said the glue video is too helpful. So helpful. I'm really glad that it was. Man, I feel like I'm so short on this. I'm so glad that it was helpful. Like, I try so hard to share the stuff that I've learned. I really do enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And Brittany said the Weld On 4 is awesome, but it definitely takes practice. Yes, it does. Okay, Jessica said, do you go over jewelry findings and such that I mentioned in the original post? Okay, let's see. I'm going to go here. Let me check it out. Let me see the original post real quick so that I know exactly what your question was. But, oh, the efficiency. Okay, Jessica, what do you mean by when you commented on the original post? She said she has questions about, how to stay efficient. How do I not spend 100 hours sorting through and picking piece by piece, color by color? How do you group a bunch at once within a color scheme? Are you talking about when, like in the design software, like, okay, I'm ready to cut pink. How do you group all those shapes together that you want to be pink? Is that what you're talking about? Oh yes, the hardware for sure. I'll touch on that. So I did a quick little video. I don't know if this is going to answer your question, but I know that this would be helpful. But whenever you're going to cut acrylic, say you have 10 different earring files that you want to cut. Yes, when I'm prepping to cut. No. So she said, all right. So whenever you're preparing to cut and you're in your cutting software, for me, it's Lightburn. Maybe, you have Glowforge or whatever it is, right? You are getting ready to group all of your stuff together and to cut. So you have everything in your software. And what I do is I load all my earring files that I want to cut. If I have 10 different designs that I want to cut, I would put all 10 in. And then I ungroup everything, ungroup the pieces, and let's say I have, okay, let's go back to the wolves real quick. So obviously the wolves, we're going to have two different colors here. One is black and one is white. So I will take both of my wolves, if they're not nested or like, you know, squeezed together as close as you can, go ahead and do that. And then group just the wolves together and then go move it kind of like to the edge of your workspace or whatever. And then with the text tool, whatever you have, go ahead and label that whatever color you want. So for this one, I used black. So label it black. You're not going to actually cut the word black. It's just for you like a visual reference. So this is my little black area. Okay, we're going to put everything that I want to cut out of the black, I'm going to put here. So you might have the wolves, you might have some spiders, you might have whatever it is, right? Whatever you want to cut with black, group it all together and label it. So that way you know, okay, this is my black group. So when you're ready to put the black acrylic into your laser, you can just grab that group and, you know, put it to be cut. So for this one, for these little potions, since I did two colors, I did, when I was laying these out, like so that I can see what color I wanted to use, everything was the same. Everything was the same with these except for the centers, obviously. So I duplicated it. I made a copy because I only imported one file. But I just made a copy of that one, and I made sure that the center part, which is the actual like potion in the middle, I put one of them in the green section, and then I put this one in a pink section, and I labeled pink glitter and, you know, lime green glitter, or yeah, lime green glitter. So that way I knew that when I finished cutting all my black pieces, then I go ahead and grab my pink glitter and cut, you know, everything that I wanted to have in pink glitter, cut that. And then whenever I get done, I can go ahead and delete that off my board. And then I can go ahead and put the lime green glitter into the machine and then pull down all of the shapes and pieces that I wanted to cut with this. Awesome. Okay, cool. But also, look in the group because I did do a video on that. So I tried to explain it here, but it may be easier for you to, you know, see the video that I did because I actually shared my screen and I showed you like exactly how I did it. It's somewhere in the group. All right, so we went over glue. Okay, so I guess beginner on glue, going back. I'm sorry, man. This is all over the place. It's good information, though. It's very good information. But about the glue and layered earrings. So if you have a backer that is clear or anything clear, just be aware of the glue. Each glue is going to cure and dry differently, and E6000 is the clearest glue that I've mentioned. Like it dries the clearest. I definitely recommend that for clear. Believe it or not, in my in my glue review that I did, I used some UV resin on clear pieces just to see, like, once it cured, like, how it worked. And that was actually the winner was UV resin. So if you want to use a little dab of UV resin and then cure it under a UV lamp, that was pretty clear. Again, you're still going to see the edge of the glue A little warning as far as mirrored acrylic. Look, mirrored acrylic is so precious. It's so extra and fragile. Mirrored acrylic, it does not like anything with alcohol. Don't use alcohol wipes on mirrored acrylic. Don't use alcohol based anything. Markers, glue, nothing with alcohol because you're going to get what is called crazing, or like it's kind of like a cracking, a hazing, a foggy look. And sometimes when I use oh yes, I have 3M listed here on my little note. I always use glue simply because let's see. Okay, with 3M tape, I've never used it, never, ever, ever. But what I have seen and heard is that, you know, as soon as you stick it down on something, you cannot like adjust its position. Once you stick it down, it's down. And so for me, I'm not that good, basically. I cannot just stick something down the first time and it be in a perfect position. I need to be able to have a few seconds to, you know, make sure that my pieces are like perfectly lined up. That's the only reason why I haven't used 3M. So for those of you that don't know, 3M adhesive is basically like a big sheet of tape. It's like this almost. It's a big sheet, and you can get different sizes. Of course, you can get, you know, smaller little sheets or rolls. You can get different stuff, but um, it is like a double-sided tape. It's a very strong double-sided tape, and um, it's not invisible either. Um, you can still see it on clear. Now, it is a pretty good, from what I've seen and what I've heard, it is a really good option if you think that you can align and set your piece down perfectly the first time, because once you sit it down, you're not going to be able to easily remove that to reposition it. So there's that. But so many people love 3M. I know that it's less messy. Okay, you don't have like you're not sticking your fingers together. You're not, you know, making a big mess with the glue. So it has its benefits and it has its downfalls, just like everything else. But that's an option. It is, to me, it is more expensive than any type of super glue or solvent. And that's why another reason why I prefer not to use it. Um, so yeah, it is expensive. Um, Now I would use it if this is not jewelry related, but you know, say I was making like a business logo sign for a company or something like that. You know, I would use 3M tape or adhesive for that. Just because you're going to get that clean finish, there's no risk of smearing glue and messing up this big project with glue, because glue can get messy. It just can. So that's when I would use it. But otherwise, if you want to keep your costs down, or if you're like me, you're not going to be able to position your pieces perfectly. If you need a little wiggle room to kind of like, oh, that, you know, scoot that over a little bit, then glue is for you. Okay. Thank you for that, because it's here on my list, but I guess in my scribble, I didn't see that. All right, so someone else asked about packaging. Um, packaging will also be something that would be more suited, or I can better explain or go in depth with the Acrylic 101 live. But for packaging, you're gonna need like I'm assuming for shipping is what they meant. But well, packaging for shipping, you want a little box, a little jewelry box. They have flat boxes on Amazon that are not folded. They have like they're cut, correctly to the right shape, and they have score lines, so you could just fold them up into this little jewelry box, or a small box, and then you can line it with some tissue paper, maybe add some of that crinkly paper in there, and then you can put your earrings on and then fold the tissue paper over it. And then you can, add your maybe some branded logo stickers or something on top of the box. And then I would put it in a bubble mailer. That's what I would do. Um, and then as far as packaging, if you're not shipping it, if you're just like making it and selling it in a store or locally, what you could do, I think my bags are over here. So there's a couple different things. I have these bags. I got these bags from Michael's. You can get these bags anywhere. They're just jewelry bags. And depending on the size of your earring cards, you would just find some little plastic, Ziploc bag type, that will fit your jewelry cards. And so for my jewelry cards, let me see. Yeah, that fits. I'm gonna put it in and show you. I definitely recommend having jewelry cards for your packaging. It makes your stuff look super professional, and it's kind of the standard. If you didn't have jewelry cards, like I don't know how else you would sell them. Okay, so here's this. You could do it like this. In a bag. And then, when I first started, I did not put the hole in my jewelry card. I actually put it in the bag here in the middle, and then I just slid the bag on the rack, because I also sell in a local consignment store, and I have like one of those really tall, and it's taller than me, so maybe it's like, I don't know, I'm 5'2", but it's taller than me. And it's a pegboard. It's like a 4-sided skinny pegboard rack, and it goes all the way to the floor. And so I've got hooks that I would hook this on. And I thought that, I think it's better to leave them in the bags because, for sanitary reasons, maybe so everyone's not touching on this jewelry. And, who knows what's on their hands. But I stopped using the bags because I think it looks better without them. Like whenever you're hanging them up in a store, or if you're at a market and you have like a booth or, some kind of vendor space or anything, to me, I think it looks much better and, more professional when it's on the jewelry card. And then you can kind of like, they can feel it, they can touch it, and they can like, I don't know, get a better idea. And my jewelry cards, I always get lots of questions. I make my jewelry cards in Silhouette Studio. You could use, Cricut. You can cut them. I did the print and cut. You could actually cut them with your laser if you found some cute cardstock. This cardstock is 110-pound cardstock. It's pretty thick. Other people have used business cards, postcards. You can, make you a cute design and send it to Vistaprint or some other place like that and have your cards printed off. That would be a good option if you can't make your own. That's what I would do if if my silhouette broke, or if I didn't have one or something like that, or if I couldn't do it, or just to save time, maybe in the future, I would create my design and then send it off to Vistaprint. The only thing about Vistaprint, though, is that they don't put holes in them. So, if you want to hang your stuff, you will have to put the holes yourself. Because I make mine in with print and cut and Silhouette Studio, I put the holes in there already and the machine just cuts it. So I have different versions of my earring cards for the hoops versus studs, or dangly looking studs like this, or just the regular tiny studs. My the location of the hole will be different. I got different versions, and that is a freebie on my website too. So if you want to get the cut file for that, if you want to make your own in Silhouette Studio or Cricut or whatever, it is available as an SVG, so you can use that. I think that's about it for today. We're already over an hour, right? Is there any other questions? You guys have any other questions for me? Yeah, I think that's about it. So if you guys don't have any other questions, then that'll be all for today. Anybody? Okay. You're welcome, Brittany. Oh, hardware. Yes. Hardware. Okay, Jessica. All right, so hardware. All right, so for jewelry, the hardware is like the metal stuff that you use to kind of put everything together. Did you have any specific questions about the hardware? And Ariana, sure, I'll talk about pricing. All right, so these are jump rings for the super newbies. Oh. Jump rings. So many people, like, they have a bad rap. Jump rings do, but I like jump rings. I don't have a problem working with jump rings. It's just that you have to use a little tool to open the jump rings, and you gotta sterling silver or standard. Okay. All right, well, let me finish this real quick. But this is a little ring you can use to open jump rings. You put it in and you twist it. I got it from Amazon. This may be really good for those of you who don't like jump rings or who are new and don't have pliers or don't want to work with pliers, or maybe pliers are too hard or aggravating or whatever. This is a cute little tool. This, I got it on Amazon. I think it came in like a 2 or 3 pack for maybe $6. All right, so sterling silver or standard, it depends. Obviously, if you're going to use sterling silver, you will want to charge more because that's a not super high quality, but it is a much higher quality than I guess regular earring findings. Now, the reason why you would use sterling silver is, or the difference, the reason why different materials are important is because some people have allergic reactions. Their skin has a reaction to the metals and what the earring hardware is made of. So that's why. I guess it depends. Now, there are some really good hypoallergenic options that are not sterling silver. They're just, nickel-free, lead-free. Those are the two that you really want to look for. Definitely look for hypoallergenic, nickel-free, lead-free jewelry hardware for sure. And then absolutely. Over here, I can see comments, but I can't see your name. I can see some names, but Jessica, over here, I can see that it's you. So Jessica, I absolutely think that since, especially you have like a personal experience with your daughters having the allergies, that, you could be the one to offer the sterling silver jewelry and, but just charge a little bit more for that. So think of course, think about how much more does it cost you to purchase the sterling silver option and then just incorporate that into your price. So, but that would be a great option because I don't suffer from any allergies like that. So, I mean, I could probably use anything. Not that I would want to, but I probably could. But for those that do suffer with allergies, I'm sure that's something that would be really, really, valued for them. And um, that could give you like a competitive edge also because you are willing to supply that. That's something that can set you apart as well. So people that have sensitive ears, they know that they're going to go to you and your business because you have stuff for them, specifically for them. So that's cool. That's always cool. Anything that can set you apart and make you different, that people want and people value, that's going to be important. Okay. What size jump rings? All right, I get all my jump rings from Amazon, believe it or not. Pretty much all of my jewelry findings I get from Amazon. You can get stuff on Etsy, but I just haven't. I guess I like the convenience of Amazon and how fast everything comes to me on Amazon and the price on Amazon, because there are more bulk pricing options, I feel like, over there. So you could try, Etsy as well, but I just get everything from Amazon. I do have like a whole supply list that I had in the group, and I believe I officially took it down. If I haven't, the link may still be there, but I am trying to reorganize that list on the website so that it's more organized into topics or groups. Like I have earring hardware all listed together, and then I have resin, UV resin supplies all listed together. I have glues and adhesives that I use all listed together with links. So give me a little bit, maybe a day or two, and I can get that list back up. But I do, no, it's not there yet. I'm sorry. Man, I'm so swamped, but I try, and it's on the list. And it's actually halfway done. I just need to finish it. Maybe I will publish it anyway, even though not all of the links are up there, and you can see what is already up there. I do have the links for the jump rings up there already. So maybe I can just publish it and then add the link so that you can access it. But if you want, these are they're called, the brand, I suppose, is Bead Nova. So if you do want to look on Amazon, those are the brand of jump rings that I use, is Bead Nova. And the size that you want to have on hand, my sizes vary from 4 millimeter, which is tiny. So I use 4, 6, 8, and 10. And honestly, I think I want to go ahead and buy a 12 millimeter jump ring, which is pretty big, because in the past it would have come in handy, and I wished that I had something bigger than a 10 millimeter. Now, a 12 millimeter is not something that you would regularly use, but just for myself, I really wish that I had it more than one occasion. So the most common jump ring sizes that you will need when you're making layered acrylic jewelry specifically is 8 and 10. If you're only doing single layers, you're not ready for layering acrylic jewelry yet, then you can just do, you could probably get away with 6 millimeter if you're just doing single layer, but 8 is probably the most common. But I think I'm leaning more towards 10 millimeter these days, because when I'm using, when I am, let's see, I think this is still an 8. But sometimes, because these are just single layers, I need to find something that has a double layer. So for instance, because this one has a stud, I call this a stud topper. I don't know what everyone else calls this or if there is a name for it, but it's just a stud topper that has a little dangly piece on the bottom. And if this dangly piece was layered, then I would use a 10 millimeter jump ring to connect it to the top part, the top stud. So that's why I use the 10 millimeters a lot because I've been using a lot of the stud toppers lately. But if you're not connecting it to another piece of acrylic, then 8 millimeter is great. And if you're only doing like a single layer, again, I don't really have anything on hand, but if you're using just a single layer of acrylic and you want to attach it just to like an earring hook, you could use a 6 millimeter. But if you're making all kind of different variations of earrings, I would highly suggest you just getting all the jump rings. Start with the 8 and 10 millimeter, and then go from there. You know, get the 8 millimeter, get 10, then get 6, and then maybe 4 in that order. The 4 millimeter jump rings are great for my like this. This is very thin. This is 3 millimeter chain. And so I don't know if you can see, but I used 4 millimeter jump rings on the end to attach it to other jump rings. Because the 4 millimeter is the only one that fit inside of the little the chain links. Now, if I had a bigger chain, you know, then obviously I could have used like a 6 millimeter, but these were small. So, all right, pricing, Ariana. Did you have a specific question about pricing? If you do, let me know, because if not, I'll just, you know, ramble on about pricing. But pricing, okay. If you have single layered acrylic earrings that are not engraved, okay, let's start here. First thing, am I having an issue with my Wi-Fi? I hope you guys can still see me and hear me. Okay. So pricing for acrylic studs, and this is going to vary in your area. That's the huge number one thing. Okay. If you're living in a more populated area, you're going to be able to charge more because the cost of living is usually higher in cities anyway, right? Also, you have to think about, you know, where you live as far as, do they like this style of earring? People in my area, they don't really wear this. I live in the South. I live in a small town in the South, and you know, some people do, but they're not super popular in my area. So you have to take that into consideration. And it's really unfortunate because for me, if I want to sell locally, my prices have to be like so low. It's hard for me to sell acrylic earrings for $14 here locally. It's hard. It's all about target market. You know, my target market, my ideal customer is not here. So it's harder for me. But if you live, you know, in another area, then, and especially out west, I'm on the East Coast, and our style typically is a lot different than that on the West Coast. On the West Coast, so many more people really like this style, and so you know you can charge more on there. So it's all about location, location, location as far as pricing. Also, if you're going to sell online, you can charge more, and the reason why is because your audience, you have a much wider audience, a bigger audience. Basically, you have the whole world. Okay, so you can charge whatever you want, and if they want your product, then they'll pay for it. Um, so locally, just be very mindful of, does your target customer, your ideal customer, live in your area? For me, no, they don't. So I have to price my earrings very cheaply if I want to move them. Um, and online, so all right, so I charge about $14 in a little consignment store in the downtown area of my town. So $14 for the layered dangly earrings that I love to make so much. $14. Now, to me, I feel honestly, and everybody could feel different about this or have a different opinion, but I feel that my time, my effort, my experience, the quality of materials, and the care that I put into all of my earrings, I feel that the value is way more than that. Okay. But it doesn't sell here. So online, since my earrings, personally, my main goal is not to sell earrings. My main goal is to sell files so that everybody else can sell earrings. That's my main goal. So any earrings that I sell are mainly just my sample earrings. So to be honest, I can undercut myself. And I can charge a lot cheaper than I would be willing to charge if my job was making and selling earrings. So if I sell them cheaply, that's only because of my position. My job description is a graphic designer, you know? But yeah, so if I was selling earrings, I would sell them for at least $18. And if any of you have seen my Etsy shop, it's pretty empty because it's not my main focus. I have a lot of other things to work on besides, listing earrings there. But I think they're pretty much all listed at about $18. And but if I was selling earrings, as my full-time job, they would start at $18. Okay. Um, Ariana, in New York? Well, it depends on where in New York too. I know there are rural areas in New York. Um, but I agree. So my suggestion selling earrings is to go online. Sell online. I have really never tried very hard to sell in my local area because everything that locals here like to buy, it's I don't make it. I don't want to make it. It's not my taste. I have a totally different style than 99% of the locals where I live. So I don't know. So Ariana, I definitely suggest going, selling online if you don't already. Maybe you do. I don't know. So yeah, start at about $18. So for something like this, it's simple. It's simple. It's fast. It's single layer. Okay, I would sell this for $18. Just me, if I was selling earrings online, I would sell this for $18. You could sell it for more. There are some awesome, amazing, small businesses that sell these for much more. They may sell them for $24.99 for this. They may sell just a single layer without the top earring for, $25, or they may even sell it for $28 or whatever. The price range goes all the way up. I've seen them, $48 for earrings. And I want to say this. The difference between a store that can sell these earrings for $30 and someone who can sell them for, $18 or $15 is this. It is all about branding. It's all about branding. That includes your packaging, that includes your photos, that includes um, the words you use on your posts, on your social media, on your website. It's everything. It's every aspect of your business has a clear style. It's all about style, pretty much. Um, and also, another thing is being able to create content that people really enjoy. A lot of these really successful acrylic earring businesses, they're on Instagram. You can go check them out. Type in, search for the hashtag acrylic earrings. Boom, you can see so many of these amazing, amazing people just killing it. And Ariana, we are so misunderstood. Absolutely. My daughter's name is Ariana, by the way. That's how we pronounce her name. So I hope that's how you pronounce yours, because otherwise I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, so go on there. Go take a look if you haven't already. Go to Instagram, okay? There is a ton of our target customers on Instagram. They are there. So if you're looking for a place, I should do like a whole other series of videos basically on Instagram and the marketing and the business aspect of selling earrings or anything online. This really would apply to anything, because I've been selling online for 7 years now, 7 or 8 years now, one thing or another. And so I have a lot of experience on that. And just okay, I'll do it for sure. Um, but there is so many I don't know, I guess there's just so many things that you have to learn sometimes through experience, you know? Well, I have learned through experience. Um, and I would love to share. I would absolutely love to share that with you guys. So I'll make a whole nother series on that, like marketing or just like the business part of it, because I am not selling, like I said, I'm not selling physical earrings. So I don't have time to put like my 100% effort into that. Um, so if you see in my Instagram, it's lacking. There are not many posts, stuff like that, because that's not my main focus. I want to make files for you guys, so that you can get out there and kill it, and so that you can sell earrings. Myself, I am my target market. Absolutely. I would buy earrings like this. If somebody, if I didn't make them, of course, and somebody, around me was selling this, like I would totally buy it. So I get the end customer, It's easier when it's like that. But think about this. Think about how you want your business to appear to your customer, and not just any customer and not all the customers. It is always recommended to think of one person. You may know this person already, but if you don't, just imagine like your biggest fan, like everything you do, this person is like, yes, 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 right? Your biggest fan. What would that person like to see, right? What is the style that person would like? And you just literally do everything to please that one person. Could be a fictional person. Um, and then that's going to attract all the other people like that person, and that's what you want. That way everything is really like consistent. And as you can see, I try very hard to stay consistent in my brand colors and the fonts that I use, in the way that I take pictures, the way that I edit pictures, so that everything is just the same. When someone looks at my picture, even if my logo is not there, they will already like instinctively know, like, oh my God, that looks like Maker's Fantasy. That's what you want. You want people to look at that and recognize you instantly. And the quality of your photos, the quality of your packaging, your earring cards, your lighting, all of that is going to increase value. So obviously you're going to, and it doesn't cost a lot of money either. To it's all about perceived value, not necessarily how expensive your stuff is that go into it. Because for me personally, I make my own earring cards, but there is absolutely no reason why, if I was selling these earrings full time as my business, there's no reason why I couldn't sell these earrings for $32 with handmade earring cards. The earrings are handmade. Why not the earring cards? So it's just definitely perceived value, consistency. All of that stuff is going to, you know, allow you to charge more. And I think the biggest thing, especially with selling online specifically, that will or in, increase your ability to charge more for your earrings, or to charge what they're actually worth, and all of the time and the effort that you put into it, um, is photography. That is the one area that everybody, if you want more sales, that's the one area that everybody should be like studying hardcore. Going to YouTube, looking at all the videos, products photography, lighting is huge, staging. And then again, it all comes down to, how do you want your items perceived? There's a certain way to communicate or to convey quality, and then there's you know an easy way to spot something that feels or looks cheap. If you lay your earrings out, I mean, I know this is a silly example, but this is an example. If you are selling earrings and you're laying all your earrings out on your couch to take a picture, and that's what you're sharing on Facebook, well, that is why you're not making sales. That's why you can't charge, top dollar for your earrings. Like, that's not professional. Nobody wants to buy earrings that you just laid out on your couch. So it's all about photos and all about being professional. I would definitely suggest going on YouTube, looking at product photography, checking out the lighting. I struggle with lighting. I've always struggled with lighting. In my apartment here, it's very small, and I don't have very many windows. I know you see one behind me over here, and then there's one in front of me here. But it's not well lit, and I struggle. That's a whole nother video, is product photography and editing. So yeah, I guess that's something that I can write down and go over too, because that's really going to bump up your ability to charge more. And then really, it also comes down to, what are you worth? What do you feel that you're worth? And sticking with it, setting a price and sticking with it, and not just being completely unapologetic about it. Like, if you want my earrings, I know they're awesome. I know that I'm a good craftsman. I know, the time and the care and the love that I put into it. My materials and my supplies are great quality, and I do everything well. Yeah, then charge what you're worth, and don't back down from that. I used to have, when I first started 7 years ago in my online small business journey, I started with hair bows, and very quickly taught myself to sew. And then I started sewing handmade infant outfits, like rompers and little shorties, and different shirts and things. And I was charging like $80 for an outfit. $80 for an outfit, okay? To me, I was not my target market at that time, although I would have loved to have been able to buy that. But the reason why I was able to charge that is because I made my price. I knew what I had in the materials. I knew the quality. I designed all of my own stuff to be whatever I wanted it to be. And and I stuck with my prices. And so everything that I did attracted the customers that did value that and they had the money to spend it and they dropped it with no problem. You know, $80 for an outfit for your toddler or your baby, people will pay it. Um, Jessica, you did hair bows and then sewing handbags. Nice. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. That's, you know, our stories began similarly. And now look at us, like we're making acrylic jewelry. That's pretty cool. But but yeah, that's definitely one thing I've learned is selling online is where it's at. Unless you're, you know, you live in a great place that they want that locally and that's where your target market lives, but mine isn't. So anyway, is there any other questions? Hopefully I answered everything. I'm sure I'm gonna get off of here and remember like, oh my gosh, I wanted to say this and I forgot. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know, okay, so we're almost 2 hours now. This is crazy. I'm so sorry for, you know, for it being such a long video. But thank you for those of you that, you know, stuck with me. But if you don't have any more questions, then I'll sign off. Nope, nope, nope. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. You're very welcome, Teresa. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.